Absolute pleasure to introduce our next two guests. Please welcome to the stage Amanda Wyss and Tuesday Night.
I always fall on stage. I know what's wrong with me.
Oh.
I know, I can't really see. I know, right?
Right, how are you both doing?
Good. How are you
Good.
doing?
I'm good. Thanks for asking.
How are you guys doing?
How are you guys?
We're doing great.
You guys look really good.
Was anyone here at Friday Night Frights last night for to see Tuesday's live performance of Nightmare? That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much for being here. I guess we should start at kind of the beginning, because you both entered this franchise at very different points. Amanda, you came in, you were there from the very beginning. And Tuesday, you came in when it was the biggest thing going. You know, when you joined, it was like nobody knew what this was going to be, and when you joined, it was all over MTV. So I guess I just want to ask.
That always the thing coming up like between my legs, like the thing. I kept thinking, oh my God, make sure it stops.
So how did you get involved with the series, and then what were your expectations? Because I think you both obviously expected very different things based on where the franchise was at.
Mm-hmm. You want to go first?
Thank you.
Okay, go give it to me, man.
So I just entered it like as all young actors did back then. My agent sent me the script. I read it. I thought it read like a really great novel, and I went and all the girls auditioned for the role of Nancy. So I read the script from the perspective of Nancy, and I was like, this is such a great role. And I read for it, and I get called back like 3 days later, but for Tina. And I was like, ugh. And so then I went back and reread the script from the perspective of Tina, and I was like, ugh. Then I went and met Wyss again, and I was like, I want to play Nancy. And he was like, I think you're more Tina. And so we debated that for a minute. And then he called in Heather and the guys, so we all came back at the same time and did an improv in the room. And this never happens, but in that moment, he told us that we all had the parts. And that's how that happened. We're all still good friends, and also from other Nightmare movies. And I was told by my agents that I would ruin my career if I did this movie. They wouldn't let me put it on my resume. So I had very low expectations because I was super young and relying on these adults around me to tell me what was shaping up in my world. Obviously they were wrong. It did go on my resume, and gratefully so. So that's how I came into the franchise.
This is why you should never listen to adults.
Yeah, they always say something weird. Yeah. Well, the way that I got involved was also very similar to yours. They were looking for somebody to replace Patricia Arquette, and Rennie, the director, told me to kind of look at her, kind of just get the vibe of her. And I said, well, no. So, I mean, there was some of it, but mostly, I think I played it more like a survivor. And so when I auditioned for this, it was kind of the same thing. I came in for the second audition, and Rennie was like, "You got the job, Tuesday. You got the job." And then I went outside. I'm so happy. I tripped down 3 stairs and cut my knee, and this man said, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm fine. I am so fine." I'm bleeding and running to the car. I was like, what an idiot. And then they had other people come in and read with me. Andros and Toy and everybody, Lisa. They all read with me, and it was so great because he kind of listened to me, what I felt was, and so I got to pick them with him. So that was really good, and obviously I picked a great cast. Right? Yeah, that was that. And then I said, I heard they were looking for music, and I was like, okay, look, ready? You know, can I do this? He goes, yeah, you can do this thing. And I said, okay. I said, I'll have it to you by the end of the day. So I went to my partner's house, who I write with, and I'm like, okay, we got to write a song right now about Freddy Krueger. So he's like, what? Freddy Krueger. And so I said, yeah, I want to write sort of like a love song to Freddy. And like in 4 hours, we wrote it. I came back, we recorded it. I came back, and what's her name? Rachel, the producer. Oh, yeah, Rachel Telley. Yeah, she came down, and Reddy came down, and I had it in my cassette. Remember that? So I put it in, and they opened my doors, and they started listening to it, and Reddy was like, oh, Tuesday, we got to put this in the film, it's got to be in the... And I was like, really? Oh, great. And I was really happy that it was going to be in the film. But when I got to the theater, that first theater, I was like, okay, I'm ready to listen. Now I wonder where my song is. I'm going to have to listen close. And it was the title song, and I was like, ah! And my agent was with me, and I was like, ah! You know, and my mom, it was really cool. And he really opened the door for me to do music for films. And one of Amanda's films I did some music for, which was awesome, called The Id. And yeah, I just have been doing that for a while, doing music and acting. But that's my story.
I love your story.
I think the characters that both of you play are so important to young people who are growing up, you know, loving horror films, because admittedly most of us saw these movies before we probably should have. But, you know, kids who are growing up maybe in difficult home situations or single-parent homes or, you know, I think your characters made a lot of us feel seen because both of the characters that you play have kind of these challenging home lives. And that's certainly one of the things that the franchise is addressing. But how did you sort of deal with, or maybe a better way of asking is there like a responsibility that comes along with that? Playing a character who, you know, is going to represent a facet of the audience that isn't always represented on screen.
I think, you know, when we were, I mean, I was so young when we made the movie that my focus had been on being as truthful as I could in the character and, you know, make sure I was helping Wes tell the story he wanted to tell. And then obviously years later, when I started doing conventions, is when I realized how, I don't want to say the responsibility, but that I really honor and treasure and want to be very present to people that have stories to tell me about that, what you've said about that effect in their life or how something I did made them feel or something, and that I take it very seriously and feel very blessed that I have the honor to be a part of someone's life in that meaningful way. So I do take it very serious, you know, now that I'm a grown-up.
I think it's really important as well, what you said. I feel, you know, blessed, and I don't think any of us knew that these films were going to be such a franchise, and because we thought we were just doing a little horror film. So when I think it's really important to pay attention to fans, and their stories are so interesting. I mean, they'll come up and they'll be like a 6-year-old child, and then there'll be like a 25-year-old child, and there'll be like a 59 child, and it's like, oh my God, you all saw these? You know, and I'm like, so your dad played that for you? And another thing too is very generous and very devoted audience that I've never really experienced in my work before. also very, just they bring us stuff, and it's very, I don't know, it's very compassionate, and I think horror film fans are the best.
That's awesome. She's talking about us.
That's right.
Amanda, as part of maybe the most iconic sequence in the franchise, certainly in the first film, can you talk a little bit about filming the sequence with the rotating and the...
The sounds, we shot it on a sound stage. So to start, it was the old Desilu Studios in Hollywood, where they did the Lucy show, and they had one sound stage enormously tall inside. So we built a bedroom. It's the same one that we used for Johnny's death as well. And it was built on a fulcrum. It literally had a crank, and guys just stood there and spun it around. The camera was affixed to the wall in an airplane seat. The DP sat there, and next to it was whoever else was in the scene, which would, in my case, was sometimes Robert, sometimes Ow. I found the edge. Found it.
I say thank you.
So Jesu was in my scene mostly, or Nick Corey. And it was based on a Gene Kelly movie, I believe, called American in Paris, where it's just very low tech. So I was always on the floor, and as the room, they would crank, and I had to use a lot of core strength to look as though I was being dragged. And we rehearsed it endlessly because it was very low budget. We had one take. And we did it in a few segments, but we couldn't go back and redo anything once the blood was introduced. That was not in the budget to clean the room and re-bloody it. And so we just rehearsed it and worked out how I could make myself look like I was being dragged. And, and then the room would spin, and everything was going great until one time I looked up and the bed was above me, and everything in the room was nailed down, glued, shellacked. Everything in my body I lost my sense of where I was in the world. And I started screaming because I believed I was on the ceiling and was gonna fall. And Wes had to stop and pokes his head in. There's a great black and white photo of me crouched down and Wes sticking his head through the window, trying to let me know, and I was like, do not make me move, we're gonna fall, and this is very dangerous. And he's like, you were on the floor. There was no amount of his convincing me that I was on the floor. And then he looked up at one point and went, oh my God, we gotta get this child out of this room. Because he in just that moment went, oh, no joke, this is super disorienting. So he's like, please, can you finish the scene? I was like, I got this. I was like, but I will never not admit that I am on the ceiling. I am on the ceiling. And so then we just kept going, and from that point on, the screams were pretty much my actual terror, because the whole time I was like, please, dear God, let me just stay on this ceiling. I don't know, I thought it was Spider-Man or something. So then we did it, and there's a great scene where Robert also came in, and they show him actually, kind of, the camera's between the camera operator's legs, and they show him blow this kiss to me, but there was blood on his glove, and it became this blood bubble, and it flew out towards my face, and then popped, and then, he kills me, I die, I fall. But it was so gruesome, and I think Wes knew it was so gruesome, that when the censors wanted him to cut something, he happily cut that, and then they let him keep all the other juicy good stuff. So, but if anybody can ever see that scene in an outtake, it's just kind of, it's so artistic and just brutal. But anyway, so that scene, it was super challenging, and at the end, I really knew we had done something, and then it went on. There was a picture of me and Wes filming that scene hanging in the Directors Guild lobby for like 20 years, and then I think it's on the registry of not just horror films, but the top 100 deaths of all time in film. And that's all Wes and his making us rehearse it to death. Like literally, I still know the choreography in my head.
Well, get out. Come on. Let's see it.
Who can spin this room? I'll show you.
You grab that crank.
I want to know something. Did you have to spin upside down? Or just, halfway? Or?
I was just always on the floor.
So
here's the room, and when it would go like this, I would crawl this way, and then it would go like this, and I'd crawl this way. So I was always on my belly,
good,
until I fell from the ceiling. Which I will never not believe I actually fell from the ceiling. Even though I didn't really fall. That is me falling from the ceiling.
That's really scary. I don't know if I can do that scene.
Tuesday, you kind of mentioned that when you were cast, Rennie was sort of looking for you to inhabit an actor who had already played a part, and you said, no, I'm going to do something else. So can you talk a little bit about the process of taking over a character that had already been established and making it your own?
Yeah, like I said, before, I did watch her just to get maybe the look and sort of similar. But, I watched it and then I just thought to myself, rather than, copy her performance, I'm going to do, I'm going to do what I want to do and be truthful and, and it was really funny because I put in a CD this time, no cassette. I put a CD in and it was the commentary. And Wes on it said, well, the way I wrote Kristen is exactly the way Tuesday Night played it. She is a survivor, not a victim. So I was like, yay! Oh my God, everybody loves Patricia, help! So, that was really cool. Yeah, what was part of that question?
Just the process
and
of
also
making
being
the
so young and having the strength to say, I understand what you want from me, but I'm going to create my own character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a lot for a young actor to, up against wanting a role and to have that much self-determination. I just always admire you for that.
Well, I thought that if I did it just like her, it would be, just the same story. It wouldn't be, it wouldn't progress.
Right.
And I felt that Kristen was a little bit more ballsy than that, checking things out. And, she should have survived,
We all agree with that.
Right?
Everyone agrees.
Thank you.
I will turn it over to all of you for questions. There's a microphone in the center. If you do have questions, please don't be shy about going over there. But have both of you, did you keep up with the franchise? Have you watched all the other films? And do you, obviously you're friendly with everyone, but I guess, are you fans of the franchise outside of your installment?
Yeah, I would say so.
I
love Amanda.
I like Tuesday, and one of my favorite movies I've ever done, she has the most beautiful song in it, and I just always find I think even more we're fans of the franchise, but we're fans of each other.
Sure.
And really good friends and supportive, and our paths cross creatively often.
Yeah.
And so, but I think that's born of being fans of the franchise. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That. I just, by the way, I'm super chicken scared all the time. I'm scared of my own shadow. I'm scared of what's under this tablecloth I can't see. And I went
It's the edge. You found it.
We found the edge. I'm on the edge. I went to see Heather Langenkamp in a movie called Home that she did, and I went as her +1. And as we all do for each other, we support each other's other projects too. I screamed so inappropriately through the entire movie that people asked me to leave. Because I was ruining the movie. She'd open a cupboard and I would scream, just for no reason. And she'd open a cupboard, but then I'd ruin the scare that was really happening 2 seconds later. And I was like, this is why we can't have nice things. I can't do it.
Yep. Yeah.
It makes me so happy that you are all still like such close friends in real life, because as fans of these movies, we love to believe that like these people all stayed in contact and they're all still friends, and knowing that that's
Yeah.
true is so special.
We're like a family.
Yeah.
We really are. We're a family.
Yep.
Is that, do you think, born out of like we all kind of survived the same thing together? By the same thing, I mean working with Robert Englund.
Okay, not like dying.
You know what? I don't know what it is, because we've been in other franchises and things that where it isn't that.
Okay.
So I don't know, just some sort of magic that happened,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
And maybe it also is what helps make the movies magical,
Mhm.
or resonate with people, because we resonate with each other. I don't know. I don't know which came first.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
you
it just
know,
kind of went together.
Yeah.
You know, and I think working with Wes, I got to work with Wes in that New Nightmare.
Oh, that's right.
So I finally got a chance. But the thing is, the New Nightmare was supposed to have a different part in it, where we were ourselves in it, and they were interviewing us about if Freddy had affected our real lives. So, we were like, oh God, yeah, he came in my dream last night. But it had to be cut because it was too long and it would fit the movie. So that element kind of was weird, because here we all are at a funeral, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
It was good. But I was really thrilled that he asked me to do it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Very cool. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, it's great seeing both of you. This question's for Amanda. So you touched on your legendary death scene. You were also in one of the most, to me, enduringly creepy images from the whole series, which is the body bag scene.
Yeah.
And especially given how unknown a quantity the movie was, and how I imagine you all felt like you were kind of out on a limb, like we don't know what we're doing, or we don't know where this is going. Rather, how do you get into a headspace to do a scene like the body bag scene and play it so straight, especially that scene being played so straight and so creepy? And does that have any lingering impact on you, or by that point were you already used to it after doing the bedroom scene?
No, not used to it at all. And it was super low. Nope. Super low budget. It was a real body bag. They poked 4 pinholes with a safety pin around my nostrils. Told me not to breathe because the camera could see anything. And I was like, they really just want to kill me. And there was no inside zipper. I was at the mercy of a bunch of crew guys. They just zipped it up. And Wes was like, are you getting any air? And I was like, very little. He's like, okay, all right, she's getting some. Let's get this done. And I found it terrifying. And mostly it was that I was trapped in this bag. So it was very much kind of maybe what the audience was feeling too, because as I move unconsciously, it goes into that lizard brain part of people thinking you're dead when you're not, and it psychologically does all those things. And so I found that actually one of the most difficult things, because I had to really, it was terrifying being locked in this bag. I really could barely breathe, and I had to trust these guys around me that I don't know to let me out if I start suffocating or something. I'm like, what's the safe word? So I think that chilling, and it was a real body bag, and it was just oozy and gross. And when they were pulling me, this is the funny part. They're like, how do we pull her without it not showing? And they're like, some guy's a fisherman, and he goes, what about some high density fishing line, like a tuna? And they just hooked it on the end of the body bag, and just guys with some poles pulled me around the corner. It was very low tech. But I think that slowness and awkwardness of it looked great on film. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask one thing? Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
I want to compliment you on something, and I want to say that you are, you're a great actress, but you are a very brave actress. I really commend your bravery. I don't know what I would do in a bag, and I don't know what I would do. I may go home and see, but the bag, no, and especially the round and round with the broom, I would be like, I already have balance problems. I'm like, That would be sick.
I love you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is, it's kind of for both of you, for Amanda first. How was it to be like Freddie's first victim?
Wait, okay, this is super funny to me. I just didn't really know the horror world or like Final Girls or things like that, and Wes was just like, you know, you're gonna do this, and you're gonna for at least a couple minutes make people think you're the Nancy character or whatever. And so I was just super in it to win it with Wes. And then I went to my first convention, way late. I didn't even know they happened. And somebody asked me that question, and I was like, I am. So it feels great. I just was late to the game. But yeah, no, I'm like, yeah, that's right, I am.
And then,
That's right.
and then for Tuesday, what was it like feeling filling in Patricia's shoes, and then how was it to be killed off so early and forward by Freddie?
Well, it was halfway. I didn't like that. I thought that maybe Kristen should have been a survivor after she had gone through so much stuff in 3. I thought, and they focused so much on her. I thought that it would be really cool if the second time, not just because it's me, but the second time they let her win, because I think that was it would have made the story just a little bit stronger.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Instead, Lisa got to kick all around. I'm like, you know what? You get to do this. I'm going to come in here right now and kick your ass out. I'm doing it.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tuesday, what was because you talked about some of the physical challenges of doing the movie, what was maybe the most physically challenging
Lordy.
thing you had to do?
You know, I went through quite a bit of weird ones. For some reason, it got cut, but they wanted to do a fake chest with boobs. So they did it, and there were no boobs on it, just bumps. And I don't know what they did it for, and they cut it. I was in a thing of sand, and then they said, "Oh wait, let's do it another way." So they gave me goggles, and I tried to go down in that hole there, and my eyes, for some reason, the goggles filled up with sand, and it went in my eye, and it really hurt, and I had to wash my eyes out, and it was still there, and I think that was the hardest thing. I was on the ceiling too. Yes, I was, and I was climbing. I was on my knees climbing over. When I got out of there, I had bruises from my knee up to my, Yes, and it was very difficult to walk after that. But
That is terrible.
But
That is terrible. I just had to do more gross things like stand in a bag of eels, and the eel wrangler had said, "Don't worry, they've been defanged." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, who are you?" Wait, did you do that? I had to stand in the body bag with real eels crawling at me. But I remember going, "I'm sorry, can I see your credentials?" Who defangs eels, by the way?
why didn't they do fake ones? Oh my God, I could never
don't
do
know.
that.
And then it got cut, but in the alleyway, the trash can lid rolls down, and I pick it up, and Wes is like, "Pick up all the worms under it and let them crawl up your arm." And I was like, okay. And then they
God,
cut
you're
it.
brave.
And I was like, I let it go, and he didn't yell cut, and I'm like, "Cut! We're good, we got what we need."
You only do it once?
Yeah, I was like, "Kid," I'm like, where's the worm wrangler?"
Yeah, and I wanted to tell you something funny that happened to me. Actually it's not about Nightmare, I did another film, and what happened was the director and the producer decided they wanted to be in this scene with me. Now, I'm in the shower, and the director said, "Don't worry, I'm gonna come in." She's from, their police outfits and everything. "I'm gonna come in and just play a little bit, getting you kind of roughed up." I'm like, "Okay, no problem." So I go in the shower, and I'm nude from the top up, and I'm kind of bracing myself this way around the wall, and I swear to God, they beat the shit out of me. If you ever seen this movie? I'm telling you, it's called Norwich Disaster. And it's about the police in Norwich, New York, that have done so many horrible things. But I'm telling you, they beat the shit out of me. And so I was screaming, like, let me out, let me out. You know, it wasn't real. But then when you see it on the thing, they're like, you were wonderful. And I'm like, this is it. Last take, one take.
You're like, it was a documentary.
Yes. God. It actually was a true story. Yeah.
It's like, that's horrifying though.
Yeah.
That should not have been.
It's never happened to me before. Yeah.
That's horrible. We are actually out of time, but I want to thank both of you for being here and encourage all of you to please come visit them all weekend long. Thank you so much, Amanda and Tuesday, for being here. This was a pleasure.
Yes.
Wait a second,
Stay there. Nobody move. Nobody move. You're part of history.
Get up here. Oh, we're up here? Okay, yeah. But you have to for that. Who's there?